Alright, so for this drone build, you're gonna need your frame kit, your transmitter, your flight controller, the transmitter's receiver, 4 ESCs, also known as electronic speed controllers. You're going to need your battery charger, LiPo battery charger, and with that you're going to want a voltage checker. This will allow you to check your battery and how much remaining voltage it has left. You're going to want to buy this hex screw packet. This will allow you to attach the motors to the frame arms. Obviously you're going to need your motors, so the pack of 4. You're going to want some kind of soldering kit so you can solder the motors on and the ESCs onto the motherboard of the frame. And then obviously you're going to want some propellers, as you can see. And don't forget, you're going to want some solder so you can solder with. And that's about it. That's all you're going to need. But how does everything work? How do the signals from your transmitter control the motors? Well, when you send a signal from your transmitter, let's say I say to go right or left, it sends those signals to your receiver. And your receiver catches these signals via its antennas. When it receives these signals, it then sends those signals to an ESC called an electronic speed controller via this cable right here. Now basically the electronic speed controller controls the voltage so that it can control the speed of the motor. So it can give the motor less voltage to make the motor spin slower, or it can give the motor more voltage to make the motor spin faster. So essentially the ESC both controls the motor and it is a voltage regulator. Now it regulates the motor voltage via these 3 bullet connectors. So when you plug in these 3 bullet connectors, it successfully sends the voltage to the motor. Now if you switch 2 of these, let's say I switch the blue one with the gold one, it spins the motor in the opposite direction. This comes handy because in a quadcopter, 2 of the motors need to spin counterclockwise and the other 2 need to spin clockwise. Now this entire setup, the receiver, the ESC, and the motor are all powered by a battery source. You plug in this battery directly into the ESC, like so. Now you can see most motors make a beep sound, da-da-da. That means it's ready and armed. Now all it needs is a successful signal link to the transmitter, which isn't on right now. This is just a generic layout for an RC plane, let's say. You have 1 ESC and 1 motor. However, in a drone, you have 4 motors and 4 ESCs. Now in the middle here is what we called a electronic board. Now if we just zoom in here, this is how it looks like. You can see that you have positive and negative terminals, and then you have 4 of these mounted in the X configuration like we talked in the last video. Now what happens is you connect your battery to the positive and negative leads here, and it distributes power across the board. Now instead of having the ESC connected directly into the battery, you have the ESCs connected into this power distribution board. That means that each ESC gets power. So as you can see, the ESC has a red and black wire. So you would put the red, you would solder the red onto the positive terminal and the black onto the negative terminal. You would then have essentially 4 ESCs like so. All 4 of these ESCs will then connect to their individual motors, like so. So then you have this X configuration. In the middle, however, in a drone, is what you have a flight controller. Now you need a flight controller for a drone because the flight controller essentially tells the motors each to spin at a specific rate to keep the drone up flying. Now you can see in the receiver you have these certain channels here. You have channel 1 through 8. Now each channel is designed specifically for something. For example, channel 3 in an RC plane is designed for throttle. And then you will plug in your servos, which control the flaps in channels 1 and 2. The same thing is in a drone, where each channel has a specific function for each motor. You would then go on and then plug in these channels into this, but we will talk about this in a later video. So that's basically how everything works. And in the next lecture, we'll start talking about assembling the motor frame.